is Thursday, and the big question is, how do you stay motivated? That's interesting. How do you stay motivated in a day when nobody seems to really wants to turn things over? So many people are having challenges and finding that, people are interested in having conversations, but they're not interested in turning over. They're trying to keep who they have in their present supply chain happy. And how do we get past that? And how do we push through? That's the topic for today. All right, it's a big one lately, my friends, and the whole idea of staying motivated, the whole idea of coming in every day and, whether you're pounding the phones, whether you're pounding out emails, DMs, video messages, how do you stay motivated in an environment like we're in today? And today, Ryan won't be able to join us today. He's got another thing to attend to, but we got Mr. Mike Harts from Mike Harts Transportation. Mike, how are you, my man?
I'm doing so well, Dan. Doing so well. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, awesome, brother. I'm looking forward to today because, this conversation about, motivation and just more, even how do I keep my head straight and how do I keep propelling myself forward when most people are not finding results, right? And I guess results is a relative word, right, Mike? I mean, some people say, well, if I disqualify somebody from my pipeline, that's results because now I'm narrowing in on people that are eventually going to buy. Other people might say it's not results if I hear no 50 times today, it's not really results because I haven't accomplished anything. I haven't done anything. So two questions to start this out. I know on off air, I said I'm going to hit you one, but I'll hit you with two just because that's how we roll. Number one is, to you, what is motivation and what sustains your motivation in this kind of environment that we're in? And number two, how do you see or how do you determine, how do you give yourself daily progression? What are some of the things you look at?
That's awesome. It's great to be on the show, Dan. I think the thing about motivation is it's like Zig Ziglar said. He said you have to do it daily. It's like taking a shower. If you do it one time, it's not going to work. But if
you're good for a day, and after that,
no. And motivation is one of those type of things where if you think it's corny, then it's going to be corny. If you think it's stupid, then it's going to be stupid. If you think something about motivation, that's how it's going to be. It's kind of one of those things is what you put into it and what you believe about it, that's what's going to come to pass. It's more of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when I'm motivating transportation companies or things of that nature, or truck drivers or whatever I'm doing, if I'm speaking at companies, I'm telling them you need this because these are the benefits. And I'm marking down A, B, and C. If you don't give people tangible evidence why the thing you're selling is going to benefit them, they don't care how, we talk in sales, we talk a lot about building rapport and corny conversations and that's great and stuff. But if the person doesn't need what you're selling, you have to sell. You're always selling. You have to sell yourself constantly every single day. So I believe motivation is something that we're all in need of, but we have to bring it to others' attention. And sometimes we have to motivate ourselves. I believe your mouth conquers your mind. Whatever you speak out of your mouth, you can conquer what you're going through. A bunch of negative thoughts will always come in, but you have to always counter those thoughts with positive thinking and positive motivation.
So how do you, in the present state of, well, I guess the environment, the present state of trucking, the present state of, well, pretty much everywhere, they're talking about we're going into a recession, we're in a recession. Another person says yes. What three pieces of advice would you give to any sales rep that's feeling stale, that's feeling stagnant, that's feeling like, you know what, I'm waking up, and I think especially coming into this week, because the clock's fell back. Um, so I even said it to my wife last night, like 5 o'clock, it's dark. Like where, and it just like I feel like we wake up in the dark and then we go to bed in the dark. And I remember when I was working corporately, I would drive to work. So I'd go to work at about 6 a.m. and I'd come home at about 6 p.m. So it's like I'm driving to work in the dark. I'm driving home in the dark. And I remember driving in one day going, why in the hell am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this? And I think as we come into that winter season, right? People tend to stay in more. They tend to hibernate. Now, if you're a person that works out of a home office, now you seem to be at home every day, all day long, because you're not going out sitting in the backyard. So what would you suggest to anyone that's feeling stagnant, that's feeling that confrontation in their head? You know what I mean? Like that battle in their mind where they know they have to prospect in order to grow your business. Like, let's call a spade, right? We're in sales. It's no longer the point where the sales come to us. We always have to be chasing that next sale. But how do you suggest people overcome that stagnation in their head?
I think that's an amazing question, Dan. Number one, what is your why? Why are you doing it? What is your purpose for doing it? Is it your child? Is it your husband? Is it your wife? Is it your boyfriend, your girlfriend? Is it your boss? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it yourself? Are you trying to prove something to yourself? Number one, what is your why? Because our why is what propels us. At the end of the day, when we're doing the things that we're doing, we always have something in mind why we're doing it. Maybe you want to be a millionaire. Maybe you want to make this many calls. Maybe you want to do something. But what is your why? And number two, never mistake doing something for results. I'm going to say it again. Never mistake just doing mindless things. I'm going to answer this phone. I'm going to return this text. I've got it on my list to call 5 people today. Okay. What's that have to do with results? Meaning, are you making the 5 hardest calls? Are you calling your girlfriend, your aunt, the follow-up call of the nice guy who bought from you last week, and 2 other meaningless calls? Are you making the 5 hardest calls, and are you doing it first? Never mistake the task you're doing with results. A lot of us are posting on social media. But what is your strategy for posting? Are you studying? Are you just, I'm going to post 7 times a week. What? About what? And why? Why are you doing it? Because people can feel when you're doing something just mindlessly. Number 3, you deserve the best. You deserve this. You deserve the results you're getting. You deserve this. This is the reason why you're working hard. This is the reason why you have to pound the pavement. This is the reason why you can't just quit. There's nothing that can stop you. I always tell people, and I'm pretty blunt, and I don't like saying this, but look at all the idiots making money. Look at all the stupid people making money. There's people running companies that you're smarter than. There's people who are making millions of dollars, making millions of sales that you're brighter than. But they've tapped into something. They believe in themselves. They believe in motivation. They believe in the company they're in. They believe what they're selling. And you're one step away. If you quit now, you won't get to that step, but you're one step away from your destiny, from your future, from your goal. Whatever you need, you're one step away. Those are my 3 keys.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you started with your why. We see, I believe we lose track of our why sometimes. You have some issues, you have things happening with customers. I've been under the position where I've felt like my managers were unqualified, and we kind of sit back and say, well, I'm done. I'm not doing this today. I'm taking the day off, or I'm going to go out for a 3-hour lunch. And the only one that gets hurt is yourself, and the fact that you started with why obviously is, if your why is big enough, you're going to overcome any roadblock, right? Do you do specific things every day to peak that motivation? Like, are you a journaler guy? Do you journal? Do you more sit up in the morning and do at your affirmations, or sit there and write out for yourself in the morning, like, this is the reason why I got to be on my A game today? Because there's one question I ask myself every morning: is who needs me on my A game?
That's right.
And I find that that question alone, along with the 7 or 8 other questions I ask myself every morning, it primes me, Mike.
That's right.
And it gets me in this, yes. But by noon, I have to remind myself. And here's the thing for everybody watching and listening. I think so many people go through this. And a lot of the times when we hear, people speaking or we read books, it comes across as if, hey, you just do this and like you're going to be fired up for like months. You know what I mean? And it's not true. Like, sometimes it's every hour you have to remind yourself. There's some days where every half hour I'm reminding myself, like, listen, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for, and it's like, okay, settle in, reset your intention, and get moving. How do you kind of combat this throughout the day?
That's right. I'll be honest. What I feel like doing is eating wrong every day. What I feel what I feel like doing is not working out. What I feel like doing is, sometimes when it's family time, I would rather spend time on my phone while I'm with the family and just, kind of, I'm still there, but
Yeah.
I just, I can scroll, and
You're not 100% present.
I always got some emails to return, and I always got some things to do. So it's justifiable, and they're great people, and they don't bother me or something. That's what I feel like doing. I feel like vegging out when I've given my all to my work all day, and then when it comes time for family, I feel like vegging out, and just, they understand. I feel like not doing my spiritual practices sometimes, and not getting up, reading the Bible and praying and meditating, and I feel like, I have this book called 372 Affirmations that I wrote, and I feel like not reading my own writing. I feel like a lot of things, but my feelings are not me. My feelings that's something else. But what I do is I try to control my feelings, and I go, I have to eat right, because the money I'm making won't be spent by me if I trash my body. I have to work out. If I don't work out, I'm not going to be around for my family. If I don't spend quality time with my family, and without computers and without cell phones, then that's what they'll remember about me. Dad's always on his phone. Mike's always on it. Mike's always on it. Mike's always doing that. Kids pick up on that. Everybody picks up on that. And so what I feel like doing versus what I do are totally different things. And as a motivational speaker, and I speak in trucking companies a lot, in transportation industries, when you think the economy is bad, it's always worse in transportation, because it's such a negative industry. It's such a negative industry, because dispatchers are bogged down with information. They don't have time for motivation. They're flying by the seat of their pants each hour. Truck drivers don't have time for this. But the people who find time in the industry I'm in, the people who find time for motivation, the people who find time to take care of their bodies. As a truck driver, it's so hard. I think it's hard to take care of my body. Being on the road all day long sitting, it's 10 times harder.
Yep. Not only just sitting, the food on the road, and it's not, like, it's a lifestyle. And I know there's a lot of really great people out there that are like really heading up the movement for physical activity and nutrition and health for truck drivers, because, for decades now, it's been the job that where, you're going to get overweight, you're going to have sleep apnea, you're going to be unhealthy because of just the hours and the different, I mean, I listen, I don't know about you, but when I first got into the asset side of it, The owner of the company I was working for said, "You got to go get your license and we're going to go on the road." And he took me on the road. Now, do you have your license? Have you ever driven truck?
All I've driven is a straight truck. I haven't
Okay.
driven anything. I'm more on
I
the
mean, pretty
operating
much. I
side.
mean, it's just a little bit of stopping difference, a little bit of clutching difference, depending on what year you did. But so I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's different because it's just a bigger rig behind you. It's not attached. It's not it's not like driving an oversized pickup. But I can tell you this: being on the road for 1 week. Okay, so we went on a week-long trip. We did a triangle for a week. Um, Now, we ate out every time. We didn't pack anything, which I know a lot of truck drivers, a lot of people are doing these days. But you want to talk about lethargic just from all the crap I put in my body for the week. The really messed up hours, like as much as you want to try and sleep in a bunk in the back, you're hitting bumps, you're changing lanes, people are cutting you off in front of you. So the driver's hitting the brakes. Like it's not an easy life, right? And I remember getting back and bringing at that point we had 127 drivers, and I got them all together over 2 days, and I told them how much I admired them because it is probably one of the most difficult jobs.
Right.
And I'll tell you, and again, we're going back 15, 17 years now. But there was zero respect from shippers. Every single person we went to, whether it was to drop off or pick up, there was zero respect. So I do respect them for that. The fact is they keep our economy running, and thank you for being the one that's going out and speaking to them and motivating them. Back to a salesperson, I've often said that I can't afford to be sick. Where people say I can't afford to go to the gym, meaning like time or whatever. Well, what if you go down for months? And being somebody that's been down for a year and a half, I know what it's like. When you're out at companies speaking to salespeople, what's kind of the present general consensus that you're finding? Like, are you finding people are in good moods? Are you finding they need more motivation? Are you finding that they're really finding their own way to kind of motivate themselves? Like, what is your general consensus?
Yep. So when I speak to transportation sales in general, and mainly 3PL companies trying to pick up, new shippers and things like that. One of the things that one of the number one things I see is, and with new salespeople and salespeople in general, like we get a script from a company and we think that's the Bible. And so I think each and every one of us as sales professionals, you can have a general guideline and you can have some sort of structure because you need to know what you're selling. But at the end of the day, it comes from the heart, and it comes from how you can make it your own, and how you can shape the sales script so it's not so A, B, C, D, and a
Robotic.
robotic, and a lot of salespeople that I talk to, they're discouraged because they're like, this script isn't working. It's not the script, man. You're the one selling. It's not the script, girl. You're the one selling it. And I think I see the most discouragement in salespeople without a direction, with no direction, and just going by what their company tells them and going by the hours. You're supposed to be here from 8 to 5, and you can take this break and you can do this, and just going by the book. And anytime you don't put more into what's required, you're going to get what you put in. And so, especially in transportation sales, where it is so hard to break through sometime to customers and shippers, it's very difficult sometimes, especially in this economy and the downturn in the industry. It's very hard. So I try to motivate people with actual evidence and actual sales coaching and actual things, not just rah, 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 you can sell and you can do it. That's only going to get them so far. Yes, they have the heart to sell and all that garbage, but what is your sales strategy? After you implement the strategy, how do you feel? And once you start getting results, I guarantee you won't be as down as you are now. I guarantee you won't feel like you feel. I guarantee you won't be just doing something just to do it. So that's what I try to do with sales teams in logistics, is find them the perfect plan, have them sell from their heart, and then implement the A, B's, and C's of the company and what they're supposed to sell. That's my strategy.
I love that. I think you're bang on there, man. Like it's you sell differently than I sell. We sell differently than the next person. The next person sells differently than the next person. And I've often said, if you just follow a script blindly, it doesn't sound like you. Like, how many times have you been called by, and this is more for all of you watching and listening, more of just a different perspective. How many times have you been called by a company, whether it be duct cleaning or window replacement or, gutter cleaning or window washing or whatever, and you can tell it's a script, right? Where you're like, hey, okay, hey, yes, I'm and it's like, and you're listening and you're going, yeah, because the way I see it is this, and I'd love your opinion on this, Mike. We write a certain way and we speak a certain way. And when we read it word for word, it sounds like writing, not speaking. Does that make sense?
That's awesome. It's an awesome point.
Yeah. And it's, reading a book, you're as Ryan calls them, bridge words, right? Like you're taking out all these ands, and this, but that's not the way we speak. Even the greatest speakers on earth, when they're just having a conversation, you look at the Bill Gates, you look at the Elon Musks. Like Elon Musk is a great speaker, but he's like, and he stops and his eyes move and he turns his head each way. Like we all do this as we speak. And if this is the way we speak, and then you call me and you're like, hi, I'm Mike from Mike's Trucking. And I could tell you're reading it because either you didn't memorize it. You're not putting your own Mike spin on it. You got the Harts spin or whatever you want to call it. And then if we say get past that first conversation and then the second conversation, like, Dan, what's going on? It's like, who's this person? You know what I mean? And to me, I would much rather be me. And if somebody doesn't like me, I'm okay with not dealing with them. Does that make sense?
That's amazing. That's amazing. I tell people the number one thing people read is your authenticity. And if you're not authentic, then I remember when I was getting my bachelor's in college, and I always tend to gravitate toward the professors who told stories about where they lived in their hometown, and they said, "Oh, I live right down the street," and I felt closer to them. I always feel close to when I go to conferences and I see speakers speak, or I always feel close to when people tell their story and they're not just selling me a product or getting me to go to a website. I always feel closer. I've always been that type of person that needed a connection. And when I don't mind you selling to me, I don't mind you doing your job. But if when I call you the second time and you don't have time for me and all the stories are out the window and you're not authentic, then I'll never refer anybody else to you.
Yes.
And I think we have to treat people better after the sale, because I think about a car salesman, how I've been treated at dealerships. It's been terrible. I've been treated terrible at dealerships, not during the purchase of the car, but after. They can't, if I say, well, I've got this trouble with this service department's right over there. Didn't I tell you last time? I'm never buying another vehicle. I hope you understand. I'm never buying another vehicle from you again. That right there showed me that you could care less about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to think about all perspectives and come with a lot of heart and authenticity.
I remember when I first got in this industry, the owner of the company I worked for, very much jeans and t-shirt guy, like just totally down to earth guy. Goes to get a Jaguar and walks in his jeans and t-shirts into a Jaguar dealership. And one of the salesperson looks at him and says, "Are you sure you're in the right spot?" Like the first thing he says to him is, "Are you sure?" And this guy owns like a $400 million company, $500 million company. And he says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, these cars are pretty expensive," just based on his looks. And he came back after he bought an M5, um, came back and pulled up outside the guy's desk at the Jaguar dealership, and he peeled out right in front of his window and just kind of waved to him. And as much as I'm like, "You did that," the other part of me is giggling because it's the same thing that you're talking about, right? That you know uh, we look at it in sales, especially, and a lot of new salespeople coming in. It's like, I want that 3M, or I want that Kruger paper, or I want those huge corporations as part of my portfolio, just to say they're part of your portfolio, right? And the fact that you just said that is so key. So please, if you're watching or listening, rewind that and go back to what Mike just said, because that authenticity, that ability to be you. I mean, I remember, Mike, when I first got into this, I would be speaking like this, and I get on the phone and be like, "Hi, I'm Dan Deigan," and I'm like, it's like the first time you turn on the camera, right? It's like, "Hi," no, that's too high. "Hi," no, sound like I got kicked in the nuts. And you kind of go through these things in your head until you get used to it, and then it becomes you. And one of the ways I've often shared with salespeople, love your thoughts on it before we get moving here, is if you were handed a script as a salesperson, right? In the company, I mean, it's possible. Some companies say like, "Hey, this is kind of the point I want you to be on. So this is kind of the direction. This is a script that works. We've, spent hundreds of millions of dollars perfecting it. Take that script and read it like 200 times, and then just be you presenting it." Now, you can use different words, you can modify it and still get to the same point. Do you agree?
I 100% agree, Dan. I,
Mhm.
I think I remember an author that I really liked, and he offered phone coaching. And one of the things he said, "I don't allow students to get phone coaching from me in anything in life until they read my book 12 times and they know it front to back."
Yeah.
And one of the things that taught me was, and like you're similar to what you're saying about reading the script, is that if our jobs are not an extension of us, then we're in the wrong industry, right? If if what we're doing is a performance or an act, then we need to just be honest with ourselves and say, "I hate this, and this is just something I'm doing." Uh, I think we've heard the cliche phrases of, "If you do something you love, you'll never work another day in your life," and things like that. But there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot
Mhm.
of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to, I rather take something with less money. I rather do something with less money, or less hours, or something that I want to do, rather than something that someone is forcing me to do. Because when they're forcing me, it's like the child you tell to dump the trash, and they drag the trash through the house and there's trash dripping. "You happy, mom?" Slam the trash down. And then the parent goes, "Well, you didn't do it from your heart. Next time you need to do it uh, with a good heart. You need to do it." And they're going, "You told me to do it. I did it. What else do you want?" What the
And
parent,
not to mention, how do you do, like, from a kid's perspective, you want me to put my heart into throwing out the trash,
yeah,
right? And it's true. I mean, there's been many people that have said, if you're a garbage man, be the best damn garbage man you can, right? And something you just said there is so key. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had to make that point. But go, keep going.
no, yeah, I think people people can read when you're not doing something from your heart. It in relationships, someone tells you never take me out on dates anymore, honey. You never take me out on date. you finally take them out. Isn't this what you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
You wanted this, right? No, I wanted it from your heart. I want it from, and this is anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about reading the script. It's anything in life. If we make it an extension of us and do it with heart, people will buy. People will buy. Hi, how's it going, sir? Is that like you were saying? Is that how you really talk? If I really talk, hey, what's up, man? How you doing today? What's going on? How you feeling? Are you want to buy today? What's this? What's going on? Why are you coming? Oh, you're looking for somebody. Cool. There's some water and candy on the fridge. If you need anything, let me know. I'm here. This is my card.
Yeah.
How's it going today? I'm here to sell that. Nobody wants to hear all that. Nobody wants.
And not to mention, there's a second part of that, where in sales, in business, you have to identify the needle movers, right? Because being busy doesn't mean being productive.
That's right.
And, there's a few things to nail, and that part of, loving what you do. I can remember so vividly, Mike, I was speaking to this one person I was training. And at that point I had 17 or 20 people under me in a development center. And I remember saying, like, this industry can be a massive career, but it's got to be a career. Like, it can't be a stepping stone. You're never going to achieve massive results if you're half-assed, for lack of a better term. And after that conversation, I swore, like, this was a Friday afternoon, right? And I swore the guy was coming back in Monday morning, Mike, and he was ready to rock and roll. Like, I was like, man, I fired this guy up. Came back in on Monday morning and quit, realizing that his true passion was to be a police officer. Yeah. and I kind of sat there and I went, oh. And then I kind of turned and I went, well, you know what? He found his passion.
That's right.
And because of that, and here's the main point of the story. Because of that, he didn't listen to any of the naysayers. And within, I believe it was 6 months, he was on a police force. And the police force said it was one of the fastest from start to finish recruits that ever came in. Wow. And I mean, this guy was on fire to get and become a member of the police force. Wow. He kept in touch with me. Like, so you talk about pretty cool, respectful. He kept in touch with me, kept telling me how the conversation helped him really find out what he wanted to be. And, I love that you brought up that point, because part of me says people got into logistics during COVID because there was a lot of money to be made. Right. And it's, I mean, my father's always said, Dan, try and get to the mindset where you'd rather wake up making $10 an hour at a job you love instead of $20 an hour at a job you hate. Your life in general will be a better life. He goes, sure, you might be making half the money, but your happiness is more. The ability to put your head down at night and go to sleep without being all stressed out and putting all this negative energy and poison into your body through stress. And it is a valid point, without obviously taking into consideration that it costs money to live, and people want money. People want to live a good life, right? So, I mean, there's that part of it too, but it's the overall that, it's a third of our life is working. And what about the 2/3? Are you happy? Are you healthy? Are you vibrant? Are you joyful? Are you energetic? Are you enthusiastic? Do you add an impact? And to me, that would be kind of my closing remarks. What would you say for closing remarks?
I love that, Dan. And just to piggyback off what you're saying, in any industry, if you're doing it for money, it just doesn't correlate. It doesn't resonate with your audience, and especially in sales. And what I'll say in the industry that I'm in trucking, I see all kinds of ads. Be a dispatcher tomorrow, learn in 30 days and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, I've been doing this near about 20 years and I still don't know everything about it. I could go into any company and be the best dispatcher there. I'm confident in that. I'm very good at dispatching. I'm good at speaking to dispatchers. I'm good at speaking to trucking companies. I'm great, but there's always somebody better, there's always somebody more skilled. But I think it goes to your point. Pick the industry, and in sales specifically, pick the industry or whatever you're passionate in. Pick the industry that you can do it with instinct. Pick that one. Pick the one that you can do it with your eyes closed. After you get the skill set, pick that one, because that's like, I can dispatch with my eyes closed. I can do that. It's just in me. It's just something about transportation that hooked me, that I feel something for it. I went into it thinking it would be something that I would learn a skill in, and here I am. It's you have to pick things in life that move you, that motivate you, because if you're trying to, motivation is one thing, but if you're trying to physically having to drag yourself out of bed every morning to motivate yourself just to go to work, maybe not all the time, maybe you're in the wrong industry. Possibly. You might be. Not all the time, because some bosses are crazy, some companies are crazy, and you hate the whole thing. I get it, but you may be in the wrong industry, so think about that, everybody.
I love that.